welcome back, beautiful people. Sorry my phone died. But like I was saying, not just why do you do that. Once you figure out the why, you want to figure out when do you do that, right? How often, what mood, and what mindset gets you to that place where you create these negative scenarios or thoughts in your mind, right? Or situations for yourself. So then again, like I said, this might take time for you to figure out. So don't think you're going to ask yourself once, like, oh, why does this happen? And all of a sudden, you're going to have a clear answer. Like, that's not how it works. You go to therapy, you go to a counselor, you don't go once, you don't go twice. They keep making you come back for months, okay? And for years, not just weeks. Why do you think they do that? They're creating a space for you to basically have a conversation with yourself. You think you're going there to have a conversation with somebody, and this somebody is helping you figure out your life. But can I tell you, please understand, nobody, and I mean nobody, can help you figure out your life except for you. What that person is doing is creating a space for you to listen to your thoughts, to hear yourself, to have a conversation with yourself, because most people cannot be alone, let alone have a conversation with themselves to understand themselves, because they already feel like they know themselves so well. They already feel like they understand themselves. Like, it's me. Like, why the hell do I need to talk to me to understand me? But honey, you do. You need to have a conversation with yourself in order to understand yourself, because yourself is not just one simple thing, like your thoughts. That's not, yourself has lived many different lives. Like, even within the life that you know right now where you're living, you have lived many lives. Like, you were an infant once. That was a life during that time. You were living a whole different life as an infant. Then you were a baby. You were living a completely different life than when you were a toddler, right? Or when you were a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, a kid, right? Or when you were a preteen, like, then you were a teenager, then you were pre-adult, then you were adult. Like, all this is a different lifetime for you. All this is you experiencing yourself, your world in a whole completely different way. Nevertheless, they all created the person that you are today. So you are not one simple thought, one simple idea, one simple moment, scenario, or, you know, like, of your life. Whatever age you are right now, that's not who you are. You're so many different levels, and you're so many different person within one spirit, the spirit that you are since you came to this earth, until the day you die, right? So you do have to talk to yourself. You do need to ask yourself questions, right? To understand yourself. And that is all a therapist or a counselor is doing for you. When they invite you to your office, to their office, over and over and over and over, they tell you you have to come for months, not just for weeks, for years even, okay? Because it takes you that long for the light bulb to click within your mind after asking yourself or having this conversation with somebody else. Your mind doesn't know the difference between you having a conversation with someone or you having the conversation with yourself. It doesn't know. All it knows is you are having this conversation and you're asking this question over and over. So eventually it'll give up the answer, the real core answer, not the one that makes you feel better for a moment, okay? So keep asking yourself, why do I do this? When you figure out the why, when do I do this? When you figure out the when, how often do I do this, okay? How do I do this, okay? Like, what are the ideas, you know, that I'm thinking, like, if it's a sad scenario, how do I make it sad? Why do I make it sad in this way? All of it has things to do with your life, okay? When I say upbringing, it's not going to be your parents. I'm not talking about your parents or your household. I'm talking about your entire life here on earth. From when you were a baby or an infant, growing up, to hear everything you experience, and it's especially things that you have experienced over and over or on a daily basis. That's why people say it's easier to say your parents or your family. And when they say upbringing, it's easier to round it off to your parents because you spend most of your life with them, right? As a child growing up. But it's an effect of everything that you come across, okay? While you've been on this earth. But majority of it is the things that you see over and over or experience over and over that create some type of pattern or habit in your behavior, in your thinking, in your emotional feelings, your emotional understanding and accepting and tolerance, all of this, okay? So you're going to ask yourself, you figured out why, you figured out how often, you figured out when. Then you ask yourself, what do I want to do about it, right? Eventually, when you figure out the how, when, and why, and where, you also want to know where, meaning like, where do I feel, where did I learn this behavior, right? Or where is it that I'm more comfortable when I think of these scenarios? Is it being alone? Like, what is it about alone time that makes you think of these thoughts or it makes you think of these scenarios, right? And then you're going to ask yourself, what do I want to do about it? And the answer to that one is simple. That's going to be first answer that comes to your mind, because your mind is always trying to make you happy, right? Your mind is always trying to protect you to be safe, even if it's for the moment. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's for the moment. Your fight or flight, that comes from the mind, okay? Like, your mind has to be thinking in an instant, right? Because when something hit you, you jump. That's your mind. It has to, that's how it works, okay? So when you figure out all of this and you ask yourself, what do I want to do about it? Your mind is going to say, oh, well, I want to change that. I don't like that. I don't like how that feels. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to deal with it. And especially now that I understand, I don't want it. I want to fix it. And that's easy. Fixing it, it's not easy. To say I want to fix it is easy. So now you're going to have to do work of a lifetime, work of day in and day out. Just like you did work day in and day out to understand yourself, to understand why do you do this, how do you do this, when do you do this, how often do you do this. All of that, you're going to do the work. The real work starts then. Because then, how do you change it? Well, you start paying attention to yourself. Every time you see yourself alone, you find yourself alone and you recognize within your mind, I'm alone. Noted, I'm alone. Consciously know I am alone. And when you consciously know that I am alone, okay, your patterns or your habit is going to kick in eventually, right? Where you want to zone out and come up with these crazy scenarios. Your mind is going to recognize it because you have already done the work and digged it and try to figure it out, the how, when, why, and what, and you realize I don't want it, I want to change it. Your mind is going to start going to work on catching on anytime this bullshit tries to show up, right? But it's a work you have to do over and over, okay? Sometimes your habits are stronger than your new thought, right? Your new thought is less catchy when I find myself zoning out. But your habit and patterns have been working for so many years. They're much stronger and much tougher, okay? Your new thoughts doesn't scare them. So your new thought might get scared away because it's so much stronger. You're doing it often. Your mind is going to catch it. 10 seconds later, you're zoning out again, making a story, but your mind got to catch it again. Then another 2 minutes later, you're zoning out. Your mind got to catch it. So you are doing the real work, okay? Over and over, you are training your mind to catch yourself when you're zoning out and to catch yourself when you're making this to snap you back into reality and say, no, I don't want to be thinking of these negative scenarios. No, I am not creating this for myself. But you don't just say no. You have to erase that negative thought and recreate it with positive thoughts, with scenarios of how you would like it to go. Okay? Better scenarios, better ideas, better thoughts of how you would like it to go. When you do this over and over and over and over and for months, sometimes for years, depending on how deep your thoughts are, depending on how rooted your habit is how long you would have to do it. But don't give up on yourself, beautiful people, because I know you can do it. I know you can. And trust me, no one can do it for you except for yourself. And all I can do is share with you how you can do that, okay? Because what works for me will work for you. And what works for you works for me. I love you, beautiful people. Follow me if you love my content, if you love my what I'm sharing with you, and you want to get fed more of this. Follow me. I would love to feed you, and I would love to eat from you. So any wisdoms, any thoughtful food, any food for thoughts, go ahead and share it with me, please. And I say things backwards sometimes, but you'll get to know me as I'll get to know you. I love you so much. Mwah. Take care of yourself, beautiful people, and follow me. Hit that subscribe button because I do need followers. I can go live and talk to you for real. And we want to talk.